good, y'all? I'm Jerry, about to check out 10 wrestling facts you probably already knew deep down. This video is about What Culture Wrestling. I'm not really too familiar about what the wrestling facts that I probably already know deep down. So we're about to see. Some of them I might do know. So let's hop into this video.
From unquestionably intriguing programs that definitely could have gone down in another reality, to rather unbelievable WrestleMania facts that initially seemed too bizarre to be true. These are those pieces of wrestling information that may seem surprising at first, but have likely always been there in your mind somewhere. Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 wrestling facts you probably already knew deep down. Number 10, AJ Styles has been with WWE full-time longer than The Rock and Stone Cold. If the fact that AJ Styles has been with his current employer for a staggering 7 trips around the sun isn't mind-blowing for you, then the reality of the one-time TNA man eventually sitting as a full-time WWE player longer than The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin were individually will likely do the trick. With the Great One acting as a regular member of the roster from 1996 to 2002 before transitioning into a part-time sensation, and the Texas Rattlesnakes full-time run lasting 2,659 days from December 18th, 1995 to March 30th, 2003. Styles' 7 years spent with WWE, totaling 2,655 days and counting at time of recording, will mean he ends his career with more time as a full-time WWE top star in between the ropes than 2 of the greatest to ever do it. Admittedly though, this surprising stat has been inevitably creeping into existence from the moment the always reliable and impressive Styles extended his current deal last year. And in all honesty, despite ranking as 2 of the hottest runs of all time, most recognise that Rock and Austin's time in WWE was relatively short in comparison to the average main event star working in the company today. Roman Reigns has been a member of the main roster since 2012, don't forget. Would you class AJ as an all-time WWE great at this point? Answers in the comments, you love.
They gotta push AJ a lot better.
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens share a WrestleMania
since 2016 they've really been doing it.
WrestleMania 39 was a special evening for longtime pals and wrestling brothers Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, with the 2 teaming to win the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships in the main event of Night 1. Special, but not entirely unique, though you likely already knew in the back of your mind that this wasn't the first time a set of lads had both teamed together in a match over the tag straps and also battled against one another on the grandest stage of them all. That's because many years before, KO and Zayn went at it in singles action at WrestleMania 37 and ultimately took down the Usos a couple of years on. Matt and Jeff Hardy were inevitably the first pair of wrestlers to fight over tag straps and also 2009 in singles action against each other at the Show of Shows, as spotted by a Reddit user who had this fact stored deep down and ready to go.
I did not know that.
The Boys famously fought Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys for the WWF Tag Team Championships in Ladder Wars at WrestleMania 2000 and X7, and then obviously went one-on-one at WrestleMania 25 in an Extreme Rules match. Matt and Jeff would then go on to team once again in their legendary Mania 33 return in a match over the Raw Tag Team Championships, with that appearance also meaning that both the Hardy Boys and KO and Zayn are the only teams to tag together at WrestleMania. The latter initially did for a bout against Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon at Mania 34, then fight each other in singles action before once again uniting.
I feel like if Eddie Guerrero would have lived, him and Rey Mysterio would have did that same thing.
Competed in a tag team match for nearly 2 decades. There's a reason fans were losing their damn minds over the sight of Brock Lesnar gearing himself up to tag with the American Nightmare on this year's Raw.
Brock was actually in the tag team match.
They all knew that the Beast Incarnate prepping himself for tag action was a once-in-a-blue moon occurrence. In fact, had the former UFC heavyweight champion actually allowed the belt to ring before annihilating poor Cody Rhodes, this would have marked Brock Lesnar's first tag team encounter on WWE programming for nearly 2 decades, which actually isn't as surprising as it initially seems, given he hasn't exactly made that many mates since returning to WWE in 2012. Can't really tag with Paul Heyman now, can you? CageMatch.net shows that the former WWE champion's last televised duos match came on the February 10th, 2004 edition of SmackDown, with Brock teaming with The Big Show in a losing effort against John Cena and Eddie Guerrero, but with the despicable cowboy opting to stab his most recent partner in the back instead, the chances of him now ever breaking his non-tag team streak feel pretty unlikely. Number 7, Jon Moxley could have turned up at SummerSlam 2022 with the AEW World Championship. The heart and soul of AEW made quite the revelation on Renee Paquette's The Sessions podcast recently, explaining to the world how he was actually holding AEW's World Championship throughout the summer of 2022, whilst technically not being under contract. And while this may have sounded utterly shocking at the time of Mox's general response to the drama going on backstage involving a certain CM Punk, in reality the BCC man, being a free agent before eventually signing his new 5-year deal, had actually been reported on back in October 2022. Damn. It was even said at the time that he was working on a handshake deal with Tony Khan's company for a while before agreeing to re-sign. That still didn't make the sound of Mox admitting that if he wanted to, he could have strutted into that year's SummerSlam with the AEW World Championship any less surreal to hear, mind. Everyone already knew deep down that Mox would surely never entertain a return to his former employer after putting his life into all things All Elite. But those earlier reports all but confirmed Mox could have opted to walk out of the company with the strap if he felt like it long before the former champ officially explained his summer of 2022 contract status. Number 6, Triple H is the biggest loser in WrestleMania history. Triple H has such a shocking record at the Showcase of the Immortals that he actually ranks as the biggest loser in WrestleMania history. At a glance, the person known for his reigns of terror, coming out on top when he probably shouldn't have, and just generally always finding a way to position himself on top, having this awful a show of shows record may seem a touch unexpected. But once you think about it, for longer than an Ultimate Warrior squash, anyone other than Trips being Mania's biggest loser was always going to be unlikely, though he likely should have added to his tally in bouts against Booker T and Sting. Papa H has memorably put over more potential stars of tomorrow than anyone on the grandest stage, with the likes of Batista, John Cena, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, Ronda Rousey, Randy Orton and Roman Reigns being just a few of the names to get the better of the WWE Chief Content Officer at WrestleMania. Number 5, Brock Lesnar's Kofi Kingston squash was planned months in advance.
Wow.
See, you always knew Kofi wasn't built to last forever, and you always knew deep down that it would only be a matter of time before Brock Lesnar came sniffing around for his precious WWE Championship strap. And in a reveal that, while unquestionably depressing, caught just about no one off guard, it was eventually explained by former WWE writer Dave Schilling how the plan as far back as April of that year was always for Lesnar to rapidly conquer Kingston on the debut episode of SmackDown on Fox in October 2019. Lesnar's sudden victory was still unquestionably staggering in the moment, sure, but only because some fans had fooled themselves into temporarily believing they were living in a world where Vince McMahon didn't get a kick out of sending his Brock out to bulldoze your darlings. Wake up, people. Number 4, the firm was set to work with CM Punk after All Out 2022. As the dust settled on All Out 2022, the stage appeared to have been set for the next chapter in the gripping MJF CM Punk saga. The Salt of the Earth had just revealed himself as the person who used Stokely Hathaway's group to pluck the casino ladder match chip out of the air, and the best in the world was now once again your reigning AEW World Champion. But then that little post-pay-per-view press conference went down, and the land of All Elite was changed forever. In the wake of Brawl Out, it's fair to say Hathaway's new group in particular, eventually named The Firm, floundered somewhat, with MJF's faction on retainer soon feeling a little directionless in the aftermath of that rather shocking initial impact. And in a statement that ultimately confirmed what many had likely subconsciously assumed, on the back of taking in developments like the bizarre Firm MJF breakup angle on the road to Full Gear 2022, Hathaway would eventually go on to confess the fact that the group were originally set to feud directly with Punk following on from All Out, with AEW then being forced to rewrite everything on the fly after the infamous events that followed the pay-per-view. What could have been, eh? Number 3, Roman Reigns is the only person to win every type of main WWE cage match. Last year's Survivor Series War Games acted as the final Infinity Stone being placed into the Tribal Chief's golden WWE cage gauntlet, with Roman Reigns' victory alongside the Bloodline on the night cementing him as the only person
like a proud dad
to win every form of major steel stipulation, with the head of the table sitting rather close to the top of it for much of his 11-year spell on the main roster. Though most would have likely expected WWE's chosen one to have walked out of a steel cage, elimination chamber and Hell in a Cell contest victorious during his decorated spell in sports entertainment, but it was that War Games epic against the Brawling Brutes.
That match was so good. That whole pay-per-view was good.
Just above the likes of Triple H and Edge. War Games has only been a main roster stipulation for a cup of coffee, admittedly, and stars such as Bobby Lashley could be joining Reigns as an undisputed WWE cage warrior before long. But now, though, Roman is the first to break yet another record in the company. Shocker, I know. Number 2, The Rock never won a world title at WrestleMania.
That's true.
The Rock most certainly boasts his fair share
of
iconic moments on the grandest stage of them all, most actually overlook the fact that Dwayne Johnson has never walked out of WrestleMania as a world champion. Sure, he strutted in with the top strap over
with the
shoulder,
title. He never
so
walked
against
out.
the likes of Stone Cold
Never
Steve
won it.
Austin and John Cena over the years. But on every one
He
of those
barely had
occasions,
title
he's
matches,
ended
though.
up losing it that same night. It seems utterly nuts to think that one of the biggest names in wrestling history never once lifted WWE's top prize over his head after winning on the most important night of the wrestling year. However, you definitely knew somewhere deep inside yourself that you'd never witnessed the great one holding the big one as the Mania fireworks erupted. With Rocky's most memorable victories at the Showcase of the Immortals usually involving him conquering all-time legends without any gold on the line. But there's a ton of folks who have walked out of the granddaddy of them all with a big piece of gold. Who else has picked up W's over Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania though? Nobody, that's who. Number 1, John Cena has won a title in every month of the year except December. Perhaps one of the more unusual, impressive yet entirely unsurprising John Cena feats comes in the form of a particular title stat when looking at the calendar. As spotted by a rather intrigued Reddit user a few months back, Super Cena has actually won a title in every single month of the year, all except December. Santa just did not listen to that part of his letter to him clearly, and within those 11 months of title wins, the iconic star has actually won World Championship gold in all but one. August only saw him win the World Tag Team Championship, yet after a hell of a 20-year run as one of WWE's most recognizable players, one that saw him amass a whopping 25 title reigns, most likely already assumes somewhere in the back of their minds that Big Match John possessed a big championship win during just about every month on the calendar. There is still time to finish off this magnificent set though, so watch this space should Hollywood John decide to dust off his sneakers for one more December ride. And that's our list of any other wrestling facts
United
people
States
probably
champion
already knew deep down. Well, let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share and click on the...
Alright y'all, another great video, man. Let me know down below in the comments of what y'all thought of my reaction to this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.